Well, these attacks and counterattacks come just as Iran was engaged in talks with the US over a potential deal on its nuclear program. The sixth round of indirect talks were scheduled for Sunday, but Iran's foreign minister has told Al Jazeera that those talks are now cancelled. Abbas Araghchi has said there is no justification for continuing negotiations in light of Israel's continued attacks. Our White House correspondent, Kimberly Halkett, reports from Washington, D.C. on the US president's response to the attacks.
U.S. President Donald Trump presided over the 250th birthday of the U.S. Army on Saturday, coincidentally also the president's birthday. And he had a message for America's adversaries, perhaps even Iran, in this thinly veiled threat. He told the crowd that America's enemies have learned if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you. Defeat will be certain. The U.S. president, though, did not mention the Iran and Israel conflict directly. But earlier in the day, he did hold calls and discuss the escalating situation in the Middle East with the European Union chief, as well as the Turkish prime minister and the Russian president Vladimir Putin. Putin telling Donald Trump that he is condemning the military operations by Israel against Iran and that he believes this should be resolved with diplomacy. The U.S. president, for his part, said that U.S. negotiators are ready to resume working with Iran's representatives to limit Iran's nuclear program, despite what he called a complicated situation. Kimberly Halkett, Al Jazeera, the White House.
Eyre was a core member of the US nuclear negotiating team from 2010 to 2015 for the Iran nuclear deal, and is currently a distinguished diplomatic fellow with the Middle East Institute. He joins us from Washington, D.C. now. Welcome to Al Jazeera. So overall, how perilous a situation is this now for the Middle East and possibly beyond?
Very perilous, very troubling. I mean, as your previous reports have shown, we're stuck in an escalating spiral of violence between Israel and Iran. Iran is trying to retaliate by using missiles and drones, but Israel has achieved escalation dominance and is using its planes, which have free reign over Iranian skies, to pretty much take out targets at will. They've targeted nuclear facilities, they've targeted military installations, they've targeted military leaders, and now they're starting to go after energy targets. So it's very troubling.
And given what you say, I mean, will there be a point where Israel feels it's achieved its goals and will stop its attacks?
By definition, but I think Israel went into this very open-ended. I think their stated goal was to take out Iran's nuclear infrastructure, but that's not possible because at the end of the day, Iran has thousands of scientists with the nuclear know-how working in the nuclear section. And even though Israel has killed some nuclear scientists, they can't take those people out. They can destroy installations, and they're doing a good job of that, even though they're going to be hard-pressed to take out Fordo without U.S. help. But at the end of the day, Iran can ride out whatever bombing Israel unleashes on it and build from there. So what are the other goals perhaps Israel has? I think they're trying to, invite U.S. participation in the attacks, which will make the job easier. And I think ultimately, Israel's best case scenario is trying to encourage, if not regime change, the toppling of this regime in Iran.
In a practical sense, though, what options does Iran have now, having felt compelled to respond to Israel's original attacks on its command and nuclear infrastructure?
Harry, that's a great question. It's very bleak. Their options are very limited. They have to respond militarily just to save face domestically. But as we've seen, Israel can take the brunt of a lot of that, and it's very unlikely that Iran can cause enough damage internally in Israel to put any sort of pressure on Israel to stop bombing. Iran can use diplomatic means, but they don't have that many allies in the international community. And even if they did, Israel has shown that it's spectacularly unwilling to listen to international opinion when it's pursuing what it considers legitimate military goals. So its best option is just to ride it out, do as much damage as they can to Israel to save face domestically, And then once whatever Israel stops bombing, try to take stock, come up with a new defense strategy, which possibly could include, in fact, trying to get a nuclear weapon as opposed to just maintaining the capability for a nuclear weapon. And that's very worrisome. As part of that, they could pull out of the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which loses us any visibility we have into the Iranian nuclear program.
Alan Eyre, thank you very much indeed for joining us here in Al Jazeera.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.